Welcome to Curbstone TV. We are here at Pagani Automobili, the home of state-of-the-art cars, and we are here to discover everything about this legendary brand. We will go around the Horacio Pagani Museo, where you'll learn everything about this extraordinary brand. Then we'll visit the factory, l'atelier, where we'll see the construction of the latest Pagani Utopia, manual and sequential. And afterwards we will take a BC Roadster through the hills of Modena. So that's definitely something to look out for. But first of all, listen carefully and join me for a tour around the museum. Psst, come on, there's nobody here. This is where it all started. Come on, up. Hurry up. You would immediately expect a Pagani, but that's not the case because the history of Horacio Pagani starts in Argentina in 1955 with all these different items, starting with a mini-cross bike, bicycles. It's definitely not the typical supercar that Pagani launches nowadays. No. It started from little things like this, and then it grew up until the company that we know it is today. So, join me for a little timeline. Horacio Pagani, born in 1955 in Argentina, already busy with construction of clay models, so it was like a really petrolhead, a car guy. But then of course you don't have always the budgets to create immediately your favorite, your dream car. So it started with different things. It started with bikes, motorhome, and then it started to go into a little bit of racing kind of activity. So that's already a good start of everything that follows behind it. 1983, Horacio leaves Argentina and moves to Italy, where he starts working for Lamborghini. Yes, exactly, Lamborghini. Not Pagani, not yet. He was involved in several projects, including the Countach, later models, but not being able to realize his dreams at Lamborghini, he decides to found his own company, takes a loan, risky guy, risky move, starts Modena Design in 1991. He starts going after his own dreams. And this is the result, the Zonda. Not this one, it started with chassis number 1, but to see more about that one, you will have to subscribe because that will appear in another video. Let's talk about this one first, because this is chassis number 2. And it has a nickname, it's called La Nonna, his grandmother in Italian. And why? Because it has already more than 550,000 kilometers on it, and it was used since '98 as a prototype car for all the further developments of the Zonda. So it started its life as a C12 and has evolved during the time in over 25 years in Zonda S, Zonda F. Now with all the 760 parts on it, it started as a manual transmission, no ABS, no traction control, nothing aerodynamic going on. And now you can see the full 760 spec with the incredible air intake on the roof. It has a sequential gearbox, all the different carbon fiber aerodynamic parts. It's a wild car, and now it's sitting here. And of course that's changed colors, livery during the years, because I saw this thing I think 6 years ago driving around in orange. So yeah, it's changed in many different kind of layouts during it. Alright, that was La Nonna. Love it, it's beautiful. But now the rest of the lineup. Here it is, the evolution of the Zonda S, personal car of Horacio Pagani himself in this beautiful blue color with the cream white interior. It's perfect configuration, 555 horsepower for 1280 kilograms and presented in the year 2000. Just imagine the performance 24 years ago. Nuts. Stunning of a car, and you already see a little bit of changes comparing to the Zonda because it has the little V-shaped nose, whereas the C12 was completely flat. It still has the C12 type mirrors on the A-pillar. It already had the latest spoiler because it was in a double split, and the first C12 was one big wing. Beautiful car, absolutely stunning, and of course manual gearbox. In 2005, Pagani did it again. They launched this, the Zonda F, named after Juan Manuel Fangio, a very close friend of Horacio Pagani that passed away years before, but this was kind of an honor to name the car after him. Result was over 600 horsepower for only 1230 kilograms with a manual gearbox. Yes, spectacular car, And for the gamers, under the viewers, some would maybe recognize the car because it played a major role in the commercial video of the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit video game. So that's a cool thing to have this car sitting here. And then on this side we have kind of my favorite one, the Zonda Cinque in the Roadster version for this. 5 cars for the Roadster, 5 for the Coupe. Pure madness. It was also a little bit on the demand of the customers because they wanted a more extreme version of the existing Zonda F. More power, more aggressive, introduction of the sequential gearbox too. Pure madness. Just imagine the sound of the naturally aspirated V10 with the air intake just above your head. It looks so good. A lot of different aero changes on the car, different kind of spoiler for more downforce. Yeah, and this typical livery that is super spectacular. And this is number 5 of 5. Yeah, I like it. I could look at it for hours, and then the open top experience must have been wonderful. Talking about crazy topless cars, although this is being my favorite one, the car sitting behind the Zonda Cinque Roadster is pretty wild too. It's the Zonda R Evo Barchetta. Recently launched, it's only from 2022, and it's a combination between Zonda R and the HB Barchetta, and the goal is just super simple. It's making people dream. Look how spectacular it is, going on so much with the livery, the colors. It's wild, and it's a one-off, commissioned especially by Horacio Pagani himself, just to show what is possible to the people, to potential customers, if you have just no limits and you can unleash all your craziest ideas into the world. We have incredible aero in the front, big front splitter, side scanners, car is wider in the front, air intake again between the two people, so yeah, you will become deaf in 10 seconds. And then the interior is it's wild. Blue is ruling all over, and then the typical Zonda R steering wheel with the rev counter that goes up to 9,000 RPM in the middle of the steering wheel. It's yeah, very spectacular, very spectacular. And of course we have the legendary Zonda R, the one that broke the Nürburgring record, because it did it in 6 minutes 47 seconds, which was almost 40 seconds faster than the previous record of the Pagani Zonda F. And it also did the lap record at Top Gear Test Drive. That was pretty cool. It was a fast lap from the stick, 1 minute 8 seconds, 0.5, so decent lap time. Yeah, just look at it. It's pure magic, pure carbon madness all over the place. 750 horsepower for the standard Zonda R, and for the Revolution 800 naturally aspirated horsepower, and that's for only 1,070 kilos. Very special, very legendary car. And that was kind of the story of the Zonda, and then we had a new chapter of the Huayra, God of the Wind. In 2011 we saw the successor of the Zonda, even if the Zonda continued on a very bespoke base, on a 760 chassis, but it was for a very limited number of cars. The story of Pagani continued with Huayra, God of the Wind. And here you can see how it started, the design, the drawing, the lines of the cars, completely different than the Zonda. And here you can see a little bit more of what's going on, the shape of the car, the evolving of the car. It was completely different than we used before. It was also a different kind of engine, V12, but with turbo technology. It was a much more mature car, even more luxurious. Yeah, it was completely different than the Zonda, but still sold out very soon with only 100 examples of the normal Huayra. Of course, it saw different limited editions, such as Huayra BC or the Imola, for example. But it started like this beautiful car that got famous very fast. So let's check it out a little bit further. Here it is, the Huayra. For those who love Transformers, they might recognize the car because it played also a role in one of the movies. Beautiful configuration. I love the twist with the carbon fiber, the golden wheels. And for Pagani fans, you might have noticed this one has a Tempesta package. We can see it easily on the wheels and the optimized aerodynamic elements in the front. Idea was to make it even better in handling, so suspension has been modified, aerodynamics were modified, and a different exhaust setup to make it even louder. Love the colors, beautiful car, and of course we saw a lot of different variants of the Huayra, including the Huayra R, which we see on our GT1 Sports Club events. Even had the latest Huayra R Evo, yeah, the drop-top version of the Huayra R, which we hope to see soon on one of our GT1 Sports Club events in the future. And yeah, that was kind of the story of Huayra. Beautiful car, it had lots of limited editions, a very modern car, and then Pagani went completely different again. It stayed in the same philosophy from the brand, but in a different kind of jacket, new dimensions, new looks, new way of driving, and it was with Utopia. And the idea of Utopia was to create a car that was more in line with what the customer really wanted. So they really asked the customer, what do you like, what do you want for kind of car? Because today's is always more horsepower, more this, more that, but what about the driving? And the customers were, we want a V12, because of course the engine is magnificent, but we want a manual gearbox maybe. And we want a car that looks a bit more retro style of design. We want a bit more personalization options. And that's exactly what Pagani did with Utopia. And that's something that we are going to find out now, because on the other side of this wall, they are actually building these cars. So we are going to check out L'Atelier, the factory, with all cars being built. So pretty excited about that. So follow me, and then yeah, you will find it out. All right, just this door. Oh, I need a badge. So hold on, but probably you'll have to watch the other video because we're about to end. So I'm gonna grab a badge, and then you will have to check out the next video where we will discover L'Atelier and everything about Utopia. Yeah, it's gonna be a wild discovery tour. All right, I'm gonna grab a card. Take care, bye-bye, and please subscribe. Would be nice. All right, bye.